Next up, our final presenter is Nancy Roberts-Lawler. So I just hand her.
Thanks. Well, that's kind of a hard act to follow right now. I'm all teared up with all the great things coming in the future city. Okay, so now I'm going to talk to you about something really that's a barrier to citizen information being used. And hopefully I can shed a little light on the process. I've been working for about 14 years in getting information generated by citizens, used by agencies and decision makers. And right now I sit on the New Jersey Water Quality Monitoring Council, and that's kind of why I was invited. Okay, so I also, my current work involves tracking the success of dam removals that are being removed in my watershed, the Musconecon watershed, which is a major tributary of the Delaware in New Jersey. And the dams are being removed to facilitate fish passage, as well as improving water quality in the watershed. My particular river is the sole source of drinking water in our watershed, and the river interacts to a large degree with the groundwater, so it's really important for us to maintain water quality. Okay. All right, so is anybody thinking about submitting data to an agency? Or want their data to be used? Raise your hands. Cool, that's cool. It's a cool, big, good thing that you're doing. Now, unfortunately, how many of you that keep your hands up, how many of you actually are paid to do this or okay, you're paid. How many are volunteers and are, right? Okay, now we get into the real things. Well, unfortunately, if you're going to be tracking your project or monitoring your project, you need money to do it. And sometimes, you know, you've got a second job and you want to give it up so that you can do the good work that you're doing. And somebody, I put it in capitals, tells you you can get a grant to do what you're doing. So you look at the requirements, you spend, you know, the next month writing your grant, you barely make the deadline, and you wait for a long time, and finally, you get the letter from your funder. Wow, woohoo! Your funder loves the idea, congratulations. You're on the map, you've got a grant, and you can go forward. Then you look at the requirements for the grant, and there's outputs and outcomes and strategies and all kinds of language that you frankly don't really understand. There's financial reports, there's narratives that you have to put in, there's deadlines. Oh, you're doing monitoring. Oh, by the way, there's this QAPP requirement. What the heck is a QAPP? And can I get it from somewhere else? Okay? This is just my little, I'm actually from New York. I graduated from Stuyvesant High School. So I'm a New Yorker, I pronounce things a certain way. It's pronounced to me quack and not quack. It rhymes with, just so that you remember, drop everything else that you're doing and not crack, which is how you feel when you're writing it. You can read my very long personal definition of what a document is, but basically it's to ensure that your data is legally credible, okay? That's the purpose, it's to document. You're supposed to write the QAP first and have it approved and then collect the data. Doesn't always work that way. Okay, why can't you copy your paper? You know, your teachers told you not to copy somebody else's paper. This is the reason why they tell you this. A QAP contains the details of a project. What's your question? Thanks, Tracy, for saying that. How you're going to do it, where you're going to do it, where your sites are, You can't copy it from somebody else because nobody else is collecting that data. It tells how your organization is actually going to do it. Not the best way of doing it, not the way the agency does it, not the way the university in California does it. It's the way your organization does it. Who's responsible for what? Where are your sites? Why did you pick them? If you're using a lab, how are they going to ensure that your data is credible? How are you going to create information from that data? Who is the ultimate data user? What the heck is a data user? It takes time to do this. And one of the problems is that our little organizations, you know, regular neighborhood people who want to show that there's a problem, just want to do it. They just want to jump in, you know, they want to go swimming, they want to take their kid fishing, they just want to jump in and get something done. They might not know the regulations. I heard Wayne mention the idea of designated use. You may not know what that is. You may not really know your waterway, frankly, all that well, or you might think you know. You might not know the criteria or what that even means. You may not know the science behind the criteria. You might not know your methods or your parameters. You might not really understand your problem all that well. You might have a kind of an iffy relationship, frankly, with government. I know a lot of the organizations in New Jersey have kind of oppositional relationships. You might not know when you start out who actually is going to do the work. Where the heck are you going to get volunteers to help you? But we just want to do it. Okay. Do you have to write a prop? No. Sometimes, you know, you really do have to. A good reason for deciding to write a QOP is that you're sharing data with government. You might be in a court dispute. You might want to show that your waterway meets a criteria or doesn't meet a criteria. Your agency, in case of academicians, the data might, they may want to use your data for developing a rule or a model. The problem, the use that I object to is that your funder wants the QOP, and it's usually because somewhere along the line, the money for the grant is coming from EPA, and all monitoring data generated by EPA is supposed to be associated with a QOP. The bad reasons, because sometimes people just say, I want to own this QOP thing, I want to get involved. You know, bad thing is, you want to publish a paper. You can publish a paper without developing a QOP. You should document how you're doing your work, but you don't really need an approved quality assurance plan from an agency. You want to be taken seriously because you feel like your problem's being ignored. That's not a good reason either. And you want to produce the best data ever. And you can produce the best, really, really good data without an approved quality assurance plan from an agency. The realities of quality assurance plans are legion. Your QOP has to be reviewed when you submit it to a whole bunch of people who are experts in the area that you're trying to be working in. They're going to comment. You're not going to understand the comment, or you're going to think they're crazy or wrong, and they might be. You're going to take the time to try and figure out how to respond and do that. There's going to be more comments and back and forth. And you're going to feel that pressure of time, okay? And time is really, you know, what it's all about. I've been told that the agencies have 30 days to respond to submitting a quality assurance plan. That sounds like a very short period of time. But in reality, you need to devote the time and resources to respond. The merry-go-round, in my experience, takes over 6 months. And I've had the experience of it taking 18 months, which that's crazy. And the big question is, do you really have to wait for approval for the quad? Well, technically you do. But, you know, why does it take so long anyway? Well, here's the problem. Your data user is actually probably wearing a lot of hats and probably reviewing a lot of quality assurance plans. And, you know, that's where your data is, you know, somewhere in the pile there. Although now it's all electronic, but by the way, that's an actual data analyst's desk from the DEP, so just want to tell you, that's real, okay? The other thing is that the quality assurance process was originally designed for dischargers and point source polluters and not really for people who want to improve their neighborhoods. Or even academicians. And frankly, you know, the regulatory community may not really need your data to do their job, so it's a lower priority for them. Sorry, agency people. So I think there's a better way. I think you really should be focusing on planning before you ever really apply for dollars. You know, and frankly, I suspect that you can actually get a grant for writing a QUAP and taking a year, or getting 2-year grants to do the project development first. And, you know, going through the process of deciding, you know, you know, where your resources are, and really, do you have time to do the project? Or even if you should be accepting agency money. You should really start about 9 months or more before you plan to monitor. And you can look over, you know, my points online. But the most important thing is you should identify a team of people to help you. And they can be, you know, really anybody. You can get help from university people. You can get sometimes agency people are willing to give you a hand. Sometimes you have volunteers who are have very specific backgrounds. And also, don't forget, you know, you can get help from you know, people who make equipment or even lab folks. And take the time to develop the quad. It, you know, probably would take you about a year, but it pays off in the long run, because the information that you collect about your problem or situation, you can save and reuse, you know, in other situations. My golden rule with agency people, these guys are, you know, work hard and they've got their problems and they roll their eyes at some of the regulations themselves. Be nice and keep your documents short. Use use NA when you need to. Refer, you know, when you need to refer to a section. You can use there's method numbers, and I have some resources at the end to identify those. You can keep procedures online and use links, and the same thing with maps and method resources. One thing that I really want to remind you, the scientific process, making mistakes is part of it. Be careful copying from others, because it can kind of get you into some trouble, and I've been in that trouble myself. University labs sometimes can't meet. I don't know, do you have certified labs in New York? We have that requirement if you're going to be submitting in New Jersey. But, you know, if they're not able to ensure the quality of the data, that can be a problem. Don't forget to consider things that can go wrong. The most important thing for me is don't collect data just because your funder wants it. I can talk about that if you want to ask any questions. You should form a local network of people who maybe are studying a particular parameter. It sounds like this is a good beginning of a forum to do that. And remember that you should be sharing your data with the public. And here are some resources, and I offer myself as a resource. My email is on the front. I actually share my data with the state, and thanks.